Welcome to the Project Management Professional (PMP) exam preparatory e-learning prepared by Cognatel Training Services. Cognatel is a registered education provider with Project Management Institute (PMI). After a completion of this course and the mock tests, you shall be eligible for receiving 35 contact hour certificate. Let us see the objectives of this program. Upon completion of this training program, you will be able to understand the following: processes and knowledge areas explained in a Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge, PMBOK Guide, 5th edition, released by PMI. Common project management terms as described by PMI in the PMBOK Guide. And project management concepts and framework. Also, this workshop will help you to apply your project management knowledge to real-world situations. And, moreover, the course prepares you for the PMP certification exam. What all would we cover in this program? The scope of this program is to help the participants get prepared for the PMP certification exam, where PMBOK Guide, 5th edition is used as a basic reference. The module will be focused on understanding the framework and concepts from PMBOK Guide and the study aspects required for the exam preparation. Let us start our learning with getting to know about PMI and PMP exam. The Project Management Institute was founded in 1969 and has its head office in Pennsylvania, United States. It has local chapters across the globe. PMI is world's leading not-for-profit professional organization for the project management professionals with the purpose of advancing project management. There are more than 618,000 active PMP certified individuals. It advocates best practices in project, program and portfolio management. PMI has launched 7 credentials. Project Management Professional, PMP, is one of them. Other credentials are Certified Associates in Project Management, CAPM, Program Management Professional, PGMP, Portfolio Management Professional, PFMP, PMI Agile Certified Practitioner, PMI-ACP, PMI Professional in Business Analysis, PMI-PBA, PMI Risk Management Professional, PMI-RMP, PMI Scheduling Professional, PMI-SP. A Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge is the reference guide for preparation of the PMP exam. This guide includes the project management knowledge and practices that are applicable to most of the projects. It includes widely applied practices and innovation. The PMBOK Guide is constantly evolving. After every 4 years, the PMBOK Guide is reworked upon and a new edition is launched, taking into account the market trend and the new practices in project management. The 5th edition of the guide was launched in 2013. The knowledge and practices are applicable to most projects. The PMP exam is based on the 5th edition of the PMBOK Guide. What are the advantages of becoming PMP certified? Project Management Professional, PMP is one of the most widely recognized project management certification. The PMP certification provides worldwide recognition of your knowledge of project management. This certification also demonstrates proof of professional achievement, as well as improves the ways a project is managed. It increases one's marketability and displays a person's willingness to pursue growth. For project management jobs in many industries, PMP exam is a mandate. Thus, having this certification increases customer confidence. This certification is valued across industry verticals and companies. PMI has defined some prerequisites that must be met for the PMP certification exam. There are two categories depending on an individual's professional education and experience. Individuals who have a high school diploma or associate degree or an equivalent need to have 7,500 hours of project management experience. Individuals who have a bachelor's degree or an equivalent need to have 4,500 hours of project management experience. This project management experience of leading and directing project tasks should be unique, non-overlapping project management experience and must be accrued in the last 8 consecutive years. In addition to this, an individual is also required to attend 35 hours of formal project management education. A specified syllabus needs to be covered to clear the PMP exam. The PMBOK guide details all the topics covered in the PMP exam. This guide lists 5 process groups and 10 knowledge areas. The 5 process groups are Initiating Process Group, Planning Process Group, Executing Process Group, Monitoring and Controlling Process Group, and Closing Process Group. These 5 process groups constitute the project life cycle. A knowledge area is defined as complete set of concepts, terms and activities that make up an area of specialization in the project management field. The 10 knowledge areas are Project Integration Management, Project Scope Management, Project Time Management, Project Cost Management, Project Quality Management, Project Human Resources Management, Project Communication Management, Project Risk Management, Project Procurement Management, and Project Stakeholder Management. Within the matrix of the process groups and knowledge areas, there are 47 processes. For example, create work breakdown structure is one of the 47 processes, which is part of planning process group and is also part of the project scope management knowledge area. The code of ethics and professional conduct gets to the core of who we are as a professional. Let us understand the examination pattern of the PMP certification exam. The PMP exam is for 4 hours, where the knowledge is tested in 5 domains or process groups. The test consists of 200 multiple-choice questions, out of which only 175 questions are actually scored. Only 1 out of the 4 options is correct, and there is no negative marking for a wrongly attempted answer. The exam is conducted online at a Prometric center, and PMI grades student on each of the 10 knowledge areas, and based on this grading they declare a student either pass or fail. The grading used is proficient, above proficient and below proficient in each of the 5 process groups. The result is shown few moments after the exam is finished. Now let us discuss the distribution of the questions for the PMP exam, based on the 5 process groups. 13% of the questions will appear in the exam from the Initiating Process Group. Initiating Process Group consists of processes that are performed to define a new project or a new phase of an existing project, by obtaining authorization to start the project or phase. 24% of the questions will appear in the exam from the Planning Process Group. Planning Process Group consists of processes required to establish the scope of the project, refine the objectives, and define the course of action required to attain the objectives that the project was undertaken to achieve. 30% of the questions will appear in the exam from the Executing Process Group. Executing process group consists of processes performed to complete the work defined in the project management plan to satisfy the project specifications. 25% of the questions will appear in the exam from the monitoring and controlling process group. And monitoring and controlling process group consists of processes required to track, review and regulate the progress and performance of the project. Identify any areas in which changes to the plan are required and initiate the corresponding changes. 8% of the questions will appear in the exam from the closing process group. Closing process group consists of processes performed to finalize all activities across all process groups to formally close the project or phase. The type of questions in the PMP exam can fall in the following categories: scenario-based, situational. In these scenario-based and situational questions, you are provided with a scenario, where you are expected to identify the process from among the 47 processes and choose the most appropriate answer. Using attached illustrations such as network diagram, definitions of the project management terms, fill in the blanks, formulas and computing for quantitative questions. Some of the questions in the PMP exam include negative descriptors such as accept or not. You are expected to read the question clearly to identify questions with such negative descriptors. Some questions will have two likely answers, but you have to choose the most appropriate one. We suggest the following roadmap for clearing the PMP exam. Complete the PMP e-learning module and attempt the mock tests. We suggest you to become a PMI member. Becoming a PMI member will allow you a free download of the PMBOK guide and an access to online books and guides at the PMI website. Thereafter you can fill in the application both online and offline for the PMP exam. You can fill the application online at www.pmi.org. In the process of filling the application, you can leave the application half-filled and return back to complete. PMI allots you 90 days to complete the application that you have started. Once you submit the application online, PMI will take 5 days to review the application correctness. Thereafter you will be required to make the payment online. PMI randomly audits the applications from time to time. In case your application is selected for audit, PMI will ask you to send them the proofs for professional education and experience stated in the application. Once you receive the approval for your application, you should book the exam date at the nearest PMI-approved parametric center. You will have 1 year period to schedule and appear for the PMP exam from the date of the PMP application approval. And then, appear for the exam and clear it with flying colors. After understanding the PMP exam, let us initiate our learning with some key terms of project management framework. To start with, let us understand what the definition of project is. A project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product or service or result. This definition talks about two important words: temporary and uniqueness. The temporary nature of projects indicates that the project has a definite start and an end. It does not imply how long or short the duration of the project is. Neither does the term temporary indicate the status of the product, service or result. It simply indicates that the project has started and will end when the project's objectives have been achieved or when the need for the project no longer exists and it is terminated intermittently. The other term we need to understand is unique. The outcome of every project may be tangible or intangible but will be unique from any other project. Although there may be repetitive elements present in some project deliverables and activities, this repetition will not change the fundamental, unique characteristics of the project work. Roads can be constructed with the same or similar materials and by the same or different teams. However, each road project remains unique with a different location, different design, different circumstances and situations, different stakeholders, etc. After project, let us understand what project management is. Project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools and techniques to project activities to meet project requirements. The knowledge can be functional, technical, etc. Example of skills is communication, leadership, people management, etc. Some tools are Microsoft Project, VSS, Whiteboard. The techniques can be network diagramming, critical path method, root cause analysis, etc. And finally, the project requirements pertains to stakeholders' needs, wants and expectations from the project. Apart from application of knowledge, skills, tools and techniques for project activities to meet project requirements, project management is also about managing the constraints. Every project is performed and managed within the project's triple constraints. These are scope, time and cost meeting the project quality standards. The relationship among these factors is such that if any one factor changes, at least one other factor is likely to be affected. Example, if a change in scope is requested, it will impact both time and cost. If the schedule needs to be shortened, it may imply that more resources should be added to the project team to finish the project work in shorter duration, which implies an increase in the project budget. Managing a project also includes balancing the project's extended constraints, which are risk, quality and human resources. The extended triple constraints manage the risk environment for opportunities and threats with optimum utilization of resources but maintaining the project quality. Let us have a look at the integrated project system, where we will discuss the relationship among the project, program and portfolio. A portfolio refers to projects, programs, sub-portfolios and operations managed as a group to achieve strategic objectives. The projects or programs within the portfolio may be directly related or independent of each other. However, the overall objective of any program or project in this portfolio is to meet the strategic objectives of the portfolio, which in turn should meet the objectives of the department and ultimately the business unit or corporation. Program is defined as a group of related projects, subprograms and program activities managed in a coordinated way to obtain benefits not available from managing them individually. Projects within a program are related through the common outcome. Program management focuses on the project interdependencies and helps to determine the optimal approach for managing them. Project is a unique effort with a defined beginning, a defined end, specific deliverables and defined resources. In mature project management organizations, project management exists in a broader context governed by program management and portfolio management. After project and project management, let us understand what is Project Management Office or PMO, and why is this position essential in an organization. An organizational body or entity assigned various responsibilities related to the centralized and coordinated management of those projects under its domain. Responsibilities could be providing project management support functions for the direct management of projects, reinitiate or terminate projects if required, managing shared resources across all projects administered by PMO, identifying and developing project management methodology, best practices and standards, coaching, mentoring, training and oversight, developing and managing project policies, procedures, templates, and other shared documentation like OPA, monitoring compliance via project audits, coordinating communication across projects, There are three different types of PMO structures in organizations, each varying in the degree of control and influence they have on projects within the organization. Supportive PMO provides a consultative role. It assists the project managers by defining the best practices, providing templates and trainings, access to information and lessons learned from other projects. This type of PMO serves as a project repository. The degree of control provided by the PMO is low. Controlling PMO provides support and requires compliance through various means like project management frameworks or methodologies using specific templates, forms and tools or conformance to governance. The degree of control provided by the PMO is moderate. Directive PMO takes control of the projects by directly managing the projects. The degree of control provided by the PMO is high. After the PMO structures, let us study the role of a project manager. Project manager is the person assigned by the performing organization to lead the team that is responsible for achieving the project objectives. Apart from understanding and applying the knowledge, tools, techniques, any area-specific skills and general management proficiencies required for the project, for effective project management the project manager must possess the following characteristics. Project management skills, general management, domain knowledge. Key expert areas required of a project manager are: the project manager should understand the project environment to relate how the project aligns with organization structure, who are the stakeholders and what exactly the stakeholders are looking at. The project manager should possess general management skills such as negotiation, leadership and mentoring and people management and interpersonal skills. Let us understand few of the interpersonal skills needed by the project manager. The project manager accomplishes his or her work through the other stakeholders and project team. Hence he or she should apply interpersonal skills. The most important interpersonal skills required are: leadership, communication, motivation, team building, influencing, decision-making, negotiation, political and cultural awareness, trust building, conflict management, and coaching. After the interpersonal skills of project manager, let us browse through the key influencers who or which affect the project's performance. Internal influencers to the project are the performing organization, project manager, the end users, the sponsors and other major stakeholders, etc. External influencers are abbreviated as PESTLE. Political includes current and potential influences from political pressures. Economic includes local, national and world economy impact. Sociological includes ways in which a society can affect an organization. Technological includes effect of new and emerging technology. Legal includes effect of national and world legislation. Environmental includes local, national and world environmental issues. Local working culture, holidays, weekly off, time zone difference, language directly influences the project. An organization's culture, style and structure influence how its projects are performed. When a project involves external entities such as those that are part of joint venture or partnering agreement, the project will be influenced by more than one organization. Organization structure is an enterprise environmental factor, which can affect the availability of resources and influence how projects can be conducted. Organizational structures range from functional to projectized, with a variety of matrix structures in between. The table shows key project-related characteristics of the major types of organizational structures. Continuing our discussion on organizational structures, let us first understand functional organization. In a functional organization structure, each staff member has one superior. Staff members are grouped by specialty such as production, marketing, engineering, and finance. Each department or function in a functional organization will do its project work independently of other departments. This slide lists the advantages and possible drawbacks of functional organization. The advantages are clear reporting relationships, highly specialized expertise in each subject, homogeneous group, drive for technical excellence. The possible drawbacks of a functional organization are project boundaries shall be limited to the discipline. Employee development opportunities are limited. Project manager shall be dependent on personal influence. Decision and communication is only hierarchical. Fosters part-time roles. The next topic for discussion in case of organizational structure and strong matrix. Strong matrix organizations have many of the characteristics of the projectized organization, and have full-time project managers with considerable authority and full-time project administrative staff. As shown in the diagram, the staff highlighted in black is assigned to the project, led by the project manager. The project manager is working full-time and has high authority on the staff members. After strong matrix organization, let us understand the projectized organization. In a projectized organization, the project manager's authority is high. Most of the organization's resources are working on the project with the team members being collocated. All the team members will report to the project manager. Let us understand the advantages and possible drawbacks of projectized organization. The advantages are role of the project manager is strong, clear accountability of the staff, fosters co-location, improved focus, easy tracking of cost and performance, faster decision-making, better customer relationships, common process. The possible drawbacks are lessening of employees' profession identity, reduced focus on technical competence. One may encounter leaders who are not technically skilled, focus on administrative work than technical, devaluing of functional managers. After discussion on organization structure, let us discuss on organizational process assets. Organizational process assets are the plans, processes, policies, procedures and knowledge bases specific to and used by the performing organization. They include any artifact, practice or knowledge from any or all of the organizations involved in the project that can be used to perform or govern the project. Throughout the project iteration, the project team members may update and add to the organizational process assets as necessary. Organizational process assets may be grouped in two categories: 1. Processes and procedures, and 2. Corporate knowledge base. Let us first understand processes and procedures. The organization's processes and procedures for conducting project work include, but are not limited to, under initiating and planning process group, guidelines and criteria for tailoring the organization's set of standard processes and procedures to satisfy the specific needs of the project, specific organizational standards such as policies, for example, human resources policies, health and safety policies, ethics policies, and project management policies, product and project life cycles, and quality policies and procedures, for example, process audits, improvement targets, checklists, and standardized process definitions for use in the organization. Templates, for example, risk register, work breakdown structure, project schedule network diagram, and contract templates. Under executing, monitoring and controlling process group. Change control procedures, including the steps by which performing organization standards, policies, plans, and procedures or any project documents will be modified, and how any changes will be approved and validated. Financial controls procedures, for example, time reporting, required expenditure and disbursement reviews, accounting codes, and standard contract provisions. Issue and defect management procedures defining issue and defect controls, issue and defect identification and resolution, and action item tracking. Organizational communication requirements, for example, specific communication technology available, authorized communication media, record retention policies, and security requirements. Procedures for prioritizing, approving, and issuing work authorizations. Risk control procedures, including risk categories, risk statement templates, probability and impact definitions, and probability and impact matrix. And standardized guidelines, work instructions, proposal evaluation criteria and performance measurement criteria. Under closing process group, project closure guidelines or requirements, for example, lessons learned, final project audits, project evaluations, product validations, and acceptance criteria. After processes and procedures, let us discuss the second category, corporate knowledge base. The organizational knowledge base for storing and retrieving information includes, but is not limited to, configuration management knowledge bases containing the versions and baselines of all performing organization standards, policies, procedures, and any project documents. Financial databases containing information such as labor hours, incurred costs, budgets, and any project cost overruns. Historical information and lessons learned knowledge bases, for example, project records and documents, all project closure information and documentation. Information regarding both the results of previous project selection decisions and previous project performance information, and information from risk management activities. Issue and defect management databases containing issue and defect status, control information, issue and defect resolution, and action item results. Process measurement databases used to collect and make available measurement data on processes and products. And project files from previous projects, for example, scope, cost, schedule, and performance measurement baselines, project calendars, project schedule network diagrams, risk registers, planned response actions, and defined risk impact. The next topic for discussion is enterprise environmental factors. Enterprise environmental factors refer to conditions, not under the control of the project team, that influence, constrain, or direct the project. Enterprise environmental factors are considered inputs to most planning processes, may enhance or constrain project management options, and may have a positive or negative influence on the outcome. Enterprise environmental factors vary widely in type or nature. Enterprise environmental factors include, but are not limited to, organizational culture, structure, and governance, geographic distribution of facilities and resources, government or industry standards, for example, regulatory agency regulations, codes of conduct, product standards, quality standards, and workmanship standards. Infrastructure, for example, existing facilities and capital equipment. Existing human resources, for example, skills, disciplines, and knowledge, such as design, development, legal, contracting, and purchasing. Personnel administration, for example, staffing and retention guidelines, employee performance reviews and training records, reward and overtime policy, and time tracking. Company work authorization systems, marketplace conditions, stakeholder risk tolerances, political climate, organizations' established communications channels, commercial databases, for example, standardized cost estimating data, industry risk study information, and risk databases, and project management information system, for example, an automated tool, such as a scheduling software tool, a configuration management system, an information collection and distribution system, or web interfaces to other online automated systems. The next important topic for discussion in project management framework is project stakeholders. A stakeholder is an individual, group, or organization who may be affected by, or perceive itself to be affected by a decision, activity, or outcome of a project. Stakeholders may be actively involved in the project, or have interests that may be positively or negatively affected by the performance or completion of the project. The project team identifies internal and external, positive and negative, and performing and advising stakeholders in order to determine the project requirements and the expectations of all parties involved. Stakeholders may exert influence over the project, its deliverables and the project team members. The project manager should manage the influences of these various stakeholders in relation to the project requirements to ensure a successful outcome. The figure illustrates the relationship between the project team, and various stakeholders. After understanding that the stakeholders are, let us browse through some of the examples of project stakeholders. A sponsor is the person or group who provides resources and support for the project and is accountable for enabling success. The sponsor may be external or internal to the project manager's organization. From initial conception through project closure, the sponsor promotes the project. The sponsor may also be involved in other important issues such as authorizing changes in scope, phase and the reviews, and go-no-go decisions when risks are particularly high. Customers are the persons or organizations who will approve and manage the project's product, service, or result. Users are the persons or organizations who will use the project's product, service, or result. Customers and users may be internal or external to the performing organization and may also exist in multiple layers. Sellers, also called vendors, suppliers, or contractors, are external companies that enter into a contractual agreement to provide components or services necessary for the project. Business partners are external organizations that have a special relationship with the enterprise, sometimes attained through a certification process. Business partners provide specialized expertise or fill a specified role such as installation, customization, training, or support. Organizational groups are internal stakeholders who are affected by the activities of the project team. These groups support the business environment where projects are executed, and are therefore affected by the activities of the project. Functional managers are key individuals who play a management role within an administrative or functional area of the business, such as human resources, finance, accounting, or procurement. Project team includes the project manager and the group of individuals who act together in performing the work of the project to achieve its objectives. Additional stakeholders, such as procurement entities, financial institutions, government regulators, subject matter experts, consultants, and others, may have a financial interest in the project, contribute inputs to the project, or have an interest in the outcome of the project. Project governance is an oversight function that is aligned with the organization's governance model and that encompasses the project life cycle. Project governance is a critical element of any project, especially on complex and risky projects. Project governance framework provides the project manager and team with structure, processes, decision-making models and tools for managing the project, while supporting and controlling the project for successful delivery. It provides a comprehensive, consistent method of controlling the project and ensuring its success by defining and documenting and communicating reliable, repeatable project practices. For project governance, the PMO may also play some decisive role. Examples of the elements of a project governance framework include guidelines for aligning project governance and organizational strategy, project decision-making processes, project success and deliverable acceptance criteria, project organization chart that identifies project roles, project lifecycle approach, process for stage gate or phase reviews, process for review and approval for changes to budget, scope, quality, and schedule which are beyond the authority of the project manager, processes and procedures for the communication of information, process to identify, escalate, and resolve issues that arise during the project, relationship among the project team, organizational groups, and external stakeholders, and process to align internal stakeholders with project process requirements. A project lifecycle is the series of phases that a project passes through from its initiation to its closure. The phases are generally sequential, and their names and numbers are determined by the management and control needs of the organization or organizations involved in the project, the nature of the project itself, and its area of application. The phases can be broken down by functional or partial objectives, intermediate results or deliverables, specific milestones within the overall scope of work, or financial availability. Phases are generally time-bounded, with a start and ending or control point. While every project has a definite start and a definite end, the specific deliverables and activities that take place in between will vary widely with the project. Projects vary in size and complexity. All projects can be mapped to the following generic life cycle structure, as shown in the figure. This generic life cycle structure is often referred to when communicating with upper management or other entities less familiar with the details of the project. Cost and staffing levels are low at the start, peak as the work is carried out, and drop rapidly as the project draws to a close. The figure below illustrates the typical pattern. The typical cost and staffing curve above may not apply to all projects. A project may require significant expenditures to secure needed resources early in its life cycle, for instance, or be fully staffed from points very early in its life cycle. Risk and uncertainty, as illustrated in figure, are greatest at the start of the project. These factors decrease over the life of the project as decisions are reached and as deliverables are accepted. The ability to influence the final characteristics of the project's product, without significantly impacting cost, is highest at the start of the project and decreases as the project progresses towards completion. Let us briefly understand the terms, project phase, project and product lifecycle. Project phase is defined as a collection of logically related project activities that culminates in the completion of one or more deliverables. Project life cycle, as stated earlier, is a series of phases that project passes through from its initiation to its closure. Product life cycle is defined as a series of phases that represent the evolution of product, from concept through delivery, growth, maturity and to retirement. Let us understand predictive life cycles. This life cycle is preferred when the product to be delivered is well understood and is required to be delivered in full, to have value to stakeholder groups. This life cycle is one in which the project scope and the time and cost required to deliver that scope are determined as early in the project life cycle as practically possible. Predictive life cycles are also known as fully plan-driven. The skills required of the project team may vary from phase to phase as the work performed in each phase is usually different in nature to that of preceding and subsequent phases. Rolling wave planning concept may be used in projects with predictive life cycles where a high-level plan is available and more detailed planning is performed as understanding of the scope of the work gets better and new work activities are approaching and resources are to be assigned. In this example, we can see the predictive life cycle for the software industry where the phases are occurring in sequence. First, the system requirements are defined, after which the software requirements are evaluated and then the architectural and detailed designs are prepared. Once the designs are approved, coding will initiate and testing will follow the same. The last stage is delivery and maintenance. After predictive life cycle, let us briefly understand iterative or incremental life cycles. Iterative or incremental life cycle are generally preferred when an organization needs to manage changing of objectives and scope, to reduce the complexity of a project, or when the partial delivery of a product is beneficial and provides value for one or more stakeholder groups without impact to the final deliverable or set of deliverables. In this project life cycle, project phases are called as iterations, which intentionally repeat one or more project activities as the project team's understanding of the product increases. Iterations develop the product through a series of repeated cycles, while increments successfully add to the functionality of the product. During this project life cycle, a high-level vision will be developed for the overall undertaking and a detailed scope is elaborated, one iteration at a time. The planning for the next iteration is carried out as work progresses on the current iteration's scope and deliverables. Let us study an example related to iterative and incremental life cycle. As shown in this diagram, the entire project scope is broken down into iterations. Iteration 1, Iteration 2, Iteration 3, Iteration 4. The requirement analysis phase is repetitive and occurs as a phase in case of every iteration. This phase will reoccur as the understanding of the scope gets better. The last life cycle for discussion is adaptive life cycle. In case of adaptive life cycle, processes are recognized as change-driven or agile methods. This life cycle is generally preferred when dealing with a rapidly changing environment, when requirements and scope are difficult to define in advance, and when it is possible to define small incremental improvements that will deliver value to stakeholders. There may be high levels of change and larger involvement of stakeholder, because of review mechanisms after each development. The Guide to Project Management Body of Knowledge, PMBOK guide identifies 5 project management process groups that constitute the project life cycle. Let us look at the definition of each of the process groups to understand their purpose. Initiating process group includes those processes that are performed to define a new project or a new phase of an existing project by obtaining authorization to start the project or phase. Planning process group includes processes required to establish the scope of the project, refine the objectives and define the course of action required to attain the objectives that the project was undertaken to achieve. Executing process group includes those processes performed to complete the work defined in the project management plan to satisfy the project specifications. Monitoring and controlling process group includes those processes required to track, review, and regulate the progress and performance of the project, Identify any areas in which changes to the plan are required and initiate the corresponding changes. The integrative nature of project management requires the monitoring and controlling process group to interact with the other process groups. Monitoring and controlling processes occur at the same time as processes contained within the other process groups. Hence, the monitoring and controlling process group is shown in the background of the other process groups. Closing process group includes those processes performed to finalize all activities across all process groups to formally close the project or phase. Project management process groups are linked by the outputs which are produced. The process groups are not discrete or one-time events, rather they are overlapping activities that occur throughout the project. The output from one process becomes input to another process. The graphical chart illustrates how the process groups interact and shows the level of overlap at various times. If the project is divided into phases, the process groups interact within each phase. In case of initiating process, the level of interaction is very low. In case of planning process, there is an increase in the level of interaction, as one needs to understand the project scope, timelines, risks involved, stakeholders, etc. before actually executing the project. There is very high-level interaction during the executing phase, as one hires resources and executes the project activity. The interaction during monitoring and controlling phase is throughout the life cycle of the project. The level of interaction is intermediate. The level of interaction decreases as one reaches the project closure phase. What does a project manager do to manage project effectively and systematically? Defining and authorizing to start the project or phases, initiating process group activity. Defining and refining objectives and planning the best alternative course of action to attain the objectives and scope that the project or phase was undertaken to address our planning process group activities. Integrating people and other resources to carry out the project management plan for the project or phase or executing process group activities. Regularly measure and monitor the progress to identify variances from the project management plan, so that corrective action can be taken when necessary to meet project or phase objectives. Are monitoring and controlling process group activities. Formalizing acceptance of the product, service, or result that brings the project or phase to an orderly end are closing group activities. What should an effective project manager know? PMBOK guide has identified 10 knowledge areas, and each knowledge area represents a complete set of concepts, terms and activities that make up an area of specialization. The knowledge areas are integration management, scope management, time management, cost management, quality management, human resources management, communication management, risk management, procurement management, and stakeholder management. The project manager's role is that of a project integrator. He has to integrate the outputs from the knowledge areas to deliver the project deliverables. Please have a look at the process group and knowledge area matrix, as per PMBOK Guide 5th edition. In total there are 5 process groups, 10 knowledge areas and 47 processes. Let us understand the distribution of project management process. As discussed in the last slide, 47 processes have been defined in the 5th edition of PMBOK Guide. There are 2 project management processes in the initiating process group, 24 project management processes in the planning process group, 8 project management processes in the executing process group, 11 project management processes in the monitoring and controlling process group, and 2 project management processes in the closing process group. During the project phases, a lot of project information is collected. Let us understand what is this term, project information. Throughout the life cycle of the project, a significant amount of data and information is collected, analyzed, transformed, and distributed in various formats to project team members and other stakeholders. Project data are collected as a result of various executing processes and are shared within the project team. The collected data are analyzed in context, and aggregated and transformed to become project information during various controlling processes. The information may then be communicated verbally or stored and distributed as reports in various. This diagram illustrates the flow of project information across the various processes used to manage the project. The terms data and information are often used interchangeably in practice. The indiscriminate use of these terms can lead to confusion and misunderstandings by the various project stakeholders. The following guidelines shall help minimize miscommunication and help the project team use appropriate terminology. Work performance data is defined as the raw observations and measurements identified during activities performed to carry out the project work. Examples include reported % of work physically completed, quality and technical performance measures, start and finish dates of schedule activities, number of change requests, number of defects, actual costs and actual durations. Work performance information is defined as the performance data collected from various controlling processes, analyzed in context and integrated based on relationships across areas. Examples include status of deliverables, implementation status for change requests and forecasted estimates to complete. Work performance reports are defined as the physical or electronic representation of work performance information compiled in project documents, intended to generate decisions or raise issues, actions or awareness. Examples include status reports, memos, justifications, information notes, electronic dashboards, recommendations and updates. With this we come to the end of the module. Let us summarize whatever we have learnt in the current module. A project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product or service or result. Project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools and techniques to project activities to meet project requirements. Managing a project also includes balancing the project's extended constraints, that are risk and resources in addition to the triple constraints of scope, time, cost and quality. Key project influencers may be internal influencers or external influencers. Internal influencers to the project are the performing organization, project manager, the end users, the sponsors and other major stakeholders, etc. External influencers are political, economic, sociological, technological, legal and environmental. A project management office, PMO, is a management structure that standardizes the project-related governance processes and facilitates the sharing of resources, methodologies, tools and techniques. There are 3 types of PMO structures, viz. Supportive, controlling and directive. Supportive PMO provides a consultative role to projects by supplying templates, best practices, training, access to information and lessons learned from other projects. Degree of control provided by the PMO is low. Controlling PMO provides support and require compliance through various means like project management frameworks or methodologies, using specific templates, forms and tools or conformance to governance. Degree of control provided by the PMO is moderate. Directive PMO takes control of the project by directly managing the projects. Degree of control provided by the PMO is high. Organizational structure is an environmental factor, which can affect the availability of resources and influence how projects are conducted. Organization structures range from functional to projectized, with a variety of matrix structures. Functional organization structures are centered on specialties and grouped by function. In this organization structure, each staff member has one superior. Staff members are grouped by specialty such as production, marketing, engineering, and finance. Each department or function in a functional organization will do its project work independently of other departments. Employees in a matrix organization report to one functional manager and to at least one project manager. Matrix organizations can be classified as weak, balanced, or strong depending on the relative level of power and influence between functional and project managers. Strong matrix organizations have many of the characteristics of the projectized organization and have full-time project managers with considerable authority and full-time project administrative staff. In a balanced organization structure, the project manager does not have full authority over the project and project funding. The project manager and the functional manager jointly prepare the project budget. In a weak organization structure, the functional managers have a lot of authority and make all the work assignments. The role of the project manager is more of a coordinator or expediter. A project expediter works as staff assistant and communications coordinator. The expediter cannot make or enforce decisions, while the project coordinator has power to make decisions and report to higher-level manager. In a projectized organization, the project manager's authority is high. Most of the organization's resources are working on the project with the team members being co-located, which means team members physically work at the same location. All the team members will report to the project manager. The project manager almost always has the ultimate authority over the project in this structure. Project stakeholders are individuals or organizations that are involved in the project or whose interests may be affected positively or negatively by the performance or completion of the project. Organizational process assets are the plans, processes, policies, procedures, and knowledge bases specific to and used by the performing organization to perform or govern the project. Enterprise environmental conditions refer to conditions that are not under the control of the project team. These factors influence, constrain, or direct the project and may enhance or constrain project management options and may have a positive or negative influence on the outcome. Project phase is defined as a collection of logically related project activities that culminates in the completion of one or more deliverables. Project life cycle, PLC, is defined as the series of phases that a project passes through from its initiation to its closure. Product life cycle is defined as the series of phases that represent the evolution of a product, from concept through delivery, growth, maturity, into retirement. Predictive life cycles are also known as fully plan-driven. This life cycle is preferred when the product to be delivered is well understood and is required to be delivered in full, to have value to stakeholder groups. Iterative life cycles are the ones in which project phases, also called as iterations, intentionally repeat one or more project activities as the project team's understanding of the product increases. Adaptive life cycles are also known as change-driven or agile methods. They are intended to respond to high levels of change and ongoing stakeholder involvement. They are iterative and incremental, with very rapid iterations having durations of 2 to 4 weeks and are fixed in time and cost. The ability of the stakeholders to influence the final characteristics of the project's deliverables and its associated cost is high during initial stages and gets progressively lower as the project continues. the major reason being cost of changes, due to errors or change requests, increases exponentially during later stages of project lifecycle. The level of uncertainty and risk is relatively high during initial phases of the project, that is initiation and planning, and it starts falling significantly while executing, as the picture becomes more clear due to progressive elaboration. The amount of stake, if measured in terms of resources deployed and the financial commitment, is relatively low during initial phases but rises rapidly during the execution. The 5 process groups that define the project lifecycle are initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. Project management process groups are linked by the outputs which are produced. The process groups are not discrete or one-time events, rather they are overlapping activities that occur throughout the project. A knowledge area represents a complete set of concepts, terms and activities that make up an area of specialization. There are 10 knowledge areas defined in the PMBOK. As shown, they are integration, scope, time, cost, quality, human resources, communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholders. Project data is referred to as work performance data, and is collected as a result of the executing processes and is shared within the project team. Work performance data is analyzed in context and aggregated and transformed to become work performance information during various monitoring and controlling processes. Information may then be communicated verbally or stored and distributed as reports in various formats during the monitoring and controlling process group and is known as work performance reports. Hope you're learning enhanced through the quiz. With the quiz we end our first module of the PMP exam preparatory training. Should you want additional reading, you may refer to Chapter 1, 2 and 3 of the PMBOK Guide 5th edition from PMI. Going ahead, we shall be dwelling deeper into processes associated with each knowledge area. Hope you had a good learning experience.